It seems like we've been doing Zoom for 100 years. We've been doing online meetings forever. It doesn't look like things are going to change anytime soon. So why not look and sound your best online? I'm going to show you how right after this. Hi there, I'm Russ Siegel. I am the Executive Director of the Sequoia Fund. We are a nonprofit small business lender based in Cherokee, North Carolina. We also are the publisher of the Real Entrepreneurship Curriculum. Real has been used for well over 35 years. We are now in 43 states and 12 foreign countries, teaching people how to become entrepreneurs from middle schools, high schools, colleges, universities, and community organizations. We're everywhere, and there's no better time in history to be teaching people how to take their destiny into their own hands with an entrepreneurial venture. We're happy to bring that to the world, and we're happy to bring this video to you today to help you look and sound better on video. We have been using Zoom, Google Meet, WebEx, you name it. If it's online, we've used it since March, and some of our meetings have gone well, some of our meetings have not gone so well, but we've learned a thing or two along the way that we wanted to bring to you, especially if you have moved your classroom online, if you're teaching on Zoom or Google Meet or some other platform. We want you to look and sound as good as possible, because then your students are going to pay attention to your content and not to the other things around you, the distractions. They have enough distractions now without paying attention to your distractions. So here we go. There are three things that make a big impact that cost very little money. Number one is your sound. Most of us use what we have. So we use the computer mic that's built in. The problem is it picks up everything, especially the fan inside your computer. It's one of those things that it just can't help. It's so close. But everything else around sounds like it's in a tunnel. You sound very tinny, and it doesn't sound authoritative. What you need is a decent mic. Now, this mic right here is an Audio-Technica ATR 2100. I picked it up several years ago for about 50 bucks. You don't even need to spend that kind of money today to sound great. You can go on Amazon. I just did a check on this. You can find a really good microphone for anywhere from $15 to $25. It's far better than the built-in mic in your computer. It's going to sound good. Now, what I recommend is a USB mic. You don't need all of these fancy connections and interfaces and equalizers. No, get a USB mic, plug it straight in, and go to town on that thing. I do recommend a cardioid pickup pattern. There are lots of different pickup patterns for microphones, but the one I recommend for the vast majority of people is cardioid, which just means that from this little microphone, there is a heart-shaped bubble. And everything inside that bubble gets picked up really nicely. Everything outside that bubble doesn't get picked up at all. And that's a good thing, because if the neighbor is mowing the lawn, if someone's vacuuming in the next room, if your dog is barking, this won't pick it up. So look for cardioid, and you're going to eliminate a lot of the distractions. Your students are already dealing with ambient noises and distractions in the home that they don't deal with in your classroom. So hey, let's fix what we can where we can. In video, you don't have to look great, but you do have to sound good. People will cut you some slack on your video, but not so much on your sound. Number two is your lighting. Now, you really only need a decent window. If you can put your computer in front of that window and have a nice indirect sunlight that bathes you in a warm glow, that's great. You don't get any better than that. But I don't have a window where I can do that, so I need some extra lighting. Now, there are a couple of things you want to avoid, and that is, what is fluorescent lighting? Fluorescent lighting will turn you green on camera. The other thing is, if you're relying on an overhead light, it will give you shadows on your eyes, your nose, and your chin, and it makes you look like you're in an old-timey horror flick. So we need something that comes at us a little more directly. And you can go spend thousands and thousands of dollars on lights at a photo supply house, but you don't need to do that when you can go to your local hardware store, Home Depot, or Lowe's and pick up a couple of these. This is just a simple clamp shop light. It's made of aluminum, has a socket and a cord. Doesn't get any easier than this. And this little clamp, you can put that on anything. This is the smallest version they make. They do make larger versions. I think there's a 9-inch, a 12-inch, and so forth. The small ones, they're dirt cheap. Go get 3 of these. If you can't find 3, 2 will do. You want those clamped somewhere and aiming down at you from about a 45-degree angle just above your head. So coming at you 45 degrees, right above your head, perfect lighting. If you have a third one and you can put it above you and it shines a little bit behind you to take out some of the shadows, that's great too. But you really, 2 is necessary. Now, the main thing about this that I want you to pay attention to is the bulb. The bulb is a daylight bulb. It's not bright white. It's not warm white. It's not incandescent. It is not, certainly not one of these old-fashioned Edison bulbs. You want daylight because this is going to give you the best color on camera. It's going to make you look natural. But again, for just a few dollars, you can have great lighting. $50 for a microphone, probably $20 or less for the lamps and the bulbs. Now we're at $70. The third thing I want you to pay attention to is the scenery. Yeah, people are looking at what's behind you. They're looking at the titles of the books on the shelf behind you. They're looking at the dirty laundry piled up in the bedroom behind you. They're looking at that unmade bed. And there are all kinds of things that they can be looking at that cause them to not pay attention to your content. So what you need to do is find an old building, light a wall really well with a nice silhouette around you. And who am I kidding? Look, there's a bookcase behind this. Several bookshelves, but you don't need to see what's on those bookshelves because it doesn't matter. This is a backdrop. You can go to Amazon.com, look for video backdrops, photo backdrops. You're going to find really cool things. You can become a backdrop junkie. You could spend all night long looking for these things, but find a decent, simple backdrop that can hang behind you. Again, you want the focus to be on you, your words, your content. Now, this has to do with scenery, but it's a little different. And it's the most egregious offense I've found, and I'm sure you have seen it too. And that's at a bad camera angle, where people have a camera that is way above them and they're looking down at it, or it's way below them and you're looking up their nose and you see nothing but the top of their head and the ceiling fan. You want your camera to be right about eye level. It can be just a little bit below. So if it's in this range here between your nose and your mouth, that's okay too, but not much below that. If you're using the built-in camera in your computer, they're fine. They're good cameras now. Just bump that thing up a little bit. Put some reams of paper, some books, maybe a lap desk or something underneath your computer. Get that computer up so that it's at eye level or close to it. You're going to be much more authoritative. It's going to look great. Again, we don't want to distract our students by making them think about things other than the content. Let's keep them focused on that. So sound good, lighting, light yourself well, take out the shadows, and scenery, not distracting with a decent camera angle. You're looking at less than $100 to do this. I think this backdrop was around $30, but you can find them in the $20 to $70 range. Easy. Just depends on what size and what material you want to find. But look, in just a couple of days, for a very small amount of money, you can look like a pro. Here's what I want you to be thinking about as you look at your own presence online. What do you see when you watch a news program, when you watch an interview or a documentary? Regardless of what's being said, it is clearly lit, it is well lit, it is professional sounding, and people are centered or they're well placed within the frame. You don't see people lying down on the couch and kind of snoozing while they're talking. So your students watch television. This is what they're used to. So make yourself look as much like a talking head video on TV as possible, and they're more likely to pay attention to you. So that's all I have for you. Again, 3 simple things: sound, light, scenery. Camera angle is part of your scenery because you don't want too much of that stuff. Go for it. Get out there and kill it in your next video. I'm rooting for you, and your students, your audience, your participants will thank you.